One.
Hello and welcome to Music Major Moments. My name is Sam and his name is Blake. Blake, what's going on?
Why does Tom Brady have to ruin my life? Why? Like, we're in COVID. Football is the one thing I had to look forward to all year, and it ends in sheer and utter disappointment. Why?
So I take it you're not a big fan of the results of the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, so it was a Buccaneers win.
Oh, shut up.
Tom Brady in his 10th Super Bowl.
Shut up.
His 7th win, right? 7th?
I hate you.
All our Buccaneers fans out there, like, congratulations.
How many Buccaneers fans, Sam? You're the only person cheering for Tom Brady in the entire planet outside of Florida.
I am not saying I'm cheering for Tom Brady. I just equally was also not cheering for Patrick Mahomes. Nothing against Patrick Mahomes, but as we have discussed, at least in our personal lives, and I will very happily make open on here, I do not care about football.
Okay, great. So let's not talk about football anymore. Anyways, welcome to Music Major Moments, where we hate Tom Brady, and we're going to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show.
I can't say we hate Tom Brady, but halftime show. So The Weeknd came out and gave quite an interesting performance.
Great performance.
Let's just give our initial reactions. Send one or two sentences. What did you think? Why don't you go first?
I thought it was good for what they were working with. I missed them not having guest artists, and I could understand how people thought the performance was middling.
Yeah. I think I echo at least a few of those points. I personally, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun show. I thought the set design was really awesome. I thought the pieces they had were great. I do think it would have benefited from a guest artist or two just to help break up. There was a few moments I thought were kind of monotonous that I think it could have broken it up a little bit to have a guest artist. But overall, I mean, I think like it did its job, and I think it did it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I think there were some harsh reactions. I was looking on Twitter after the Super Bowl, and just right after the halftime show, there were some people that genuinely hated it. There was obviously a lot of people that didn't know The Weeknd, which isn't surprising. He's like internationally famous, but only within the past 5 years. So a lot of older audiences wouldn't know him necessarily. I think that's why guest artists have always been good, that you almost everyone will know someone. And this year that kind of hurt, I'm sure, for some audiences, but there were people that did know him that still were kind of giving him crap. And we kind of talked about this before. The Super Bowl halftime show isn't really about the music or the singing anymore. I don't know how long it has been like that. Maybe it's always been like that. But the Super Bowl halftime show is about your dancing. It's about the performance. It's about the choreography. It's about the stage presence and the effects. And
I agree.
Some of those things were good. Some of those things were clearly lacking. And I think that's why a lot of people had mixed feelings about it.
So let's break it down. Let's break it down just moment by moment and looking at the larger scale picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, just that opening, like it was like 15 seconds long. The opening with the car and the setup and like the image it had at the beginning. I know it's not like much in terms of the music or anything, but I thought that whole opening was super cool.
I was intrigued. That got me excited. I would wonder what it was like to be in the stadium seeing that. Maybe it wasn't. Some people kind of told me that like the Super Bowl halftime show is made more for the people at home, especially this year.
I agree. And I think that moment captured it perfectly. If you're watching it in the stadium, I'm sure it was still kind of cool to see. But I think the best moment in it was how it it ended, or like he came out, he walked, and he sort of like sat on the edge, and then it started panning out from him. And then seamlessly, it switched from being the thing people were seeing in the stadium to being a shot of the Jumbotron as it continues to pan back out. Like, and so seamless that they timed out the positioning of the camera in the studio with exactly how far away they would need to have the camera in the stadium, so the size of the image doesn't change, even though the size of like the screen you're seeing it on definitely changed.
That was an interesting start, and then obviously he comes down from the stage, and there's this interesting setup with kind of like a socially distanced chorus and
Yeah,
performers behind him, which I thought was brilliant to see it right away. I thought they stayed there too long for the necessary performance of it. I gotta say, like so the first song he did was it Star? I think he did Starboy first.
yeah. Or at
I
least in
was
the
really,
first, I think he did 2 songs in front of this chorus, and that was at least one of them.
yeah, it was Starboy and The Hills. I think he did in front of that. I was really hoping to just all of a sudden see Daft Punk, like because Daft
Yeah, I know
Punk
you
doesn't
were.
really, they don't need to be that performance. But as long as you just get a quick shot of them, you know they're there, you know they're the ones making the sound, then you can get right back on the. I just thought that would have been cool, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Kind
And
of.
I agree. I think that it was and we'll talk about the next one here in a minute. It was the 2 moments in front of that setup that I thought were like needed something else. They were just a little dry on their own. I loved the like gospel choir, and like even though the sound mixing wasn't perfect, I
There
think
was
they
some
still
things with that.
sounded awesome, the choir.
Yeah, the choir was good. I thought, like, you could tell The Weeknd was lip syncing some of it, and I think actually singing some of it. Like, I think they actually did mix some audio there. But in doing that, there were times when his mic wasn't turned up enough. And you could tell that the background instrumentals and the chorus were actually drowning his voice out,
Yeah, a little
especially
bit.
early on.
Yeah.
And I think that also contributed just to some people's negative reactions about it, because especially if you're not as big of the performer dancer type, the music has to be perfect.
Exactly. So yeah, that section in front of the choir looked cool, sounded kind of cool, not the greatest.
Yeah.
Wasn't the best. But then they
Next
move into
section is awesome.
the what?
Yeah, when they moved into, I don't know what you call it, like a labyrinth.
Yeah, like a little like a mini maze almost. I got very like carnival vibes, like those like carnival maze type things with the lights and kind of mirror type stuff. I mean, that was cool.
Can't Feel My Face was one of his, if not the best performed song of the thing. I wonder if that's the one that was just fully like lip synced. But like you said, there was some camera tricks that made that really cool. Obviously, if you're confused about the bandage figures, you should go look that up. But basically, it was a music video for Blinding Lights that got it all kicked off, and it's a metaphor for like the disillusionment of Hollywood, getting like plastic surgery and stuff.
Fancy words.
It's crazy, yeah. So you should go look that more into that if you were confused as to why there were people wearing bandages and such.
Yeah,
But
there
what
is
were
a
kind of the
reason for
camera
that.
tricks they were showing, Sam? Do you kind of know what was going on in there?
At first, when he started just spinning with the camera, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, like very trippy, very like disorienting, even just to watch in your own home. One minor complaint I have is I think that's another moment where they just lingered a little too long. He was spinning a bit too long before he started doing his own little dance in there. And I thought they just lingered a little too long, but I still thought it was cool. And then they like bring it back. He's sort of dancing in there. And then when they bring in all the other figures, I thought that made it look really cool. And they're all just bouncing around, and then they would freeze and do a couple moves and then keep going. The camera trick that I loved, though, that I thought was so genius, in that moment when they're all like kind of bouncing around and everything, he just disappears in the crowd.
Yeah.
And it was such a like I don't want to say magical, but it was kind of magical. A moment where it's like you see him like duck down, but the camera, like as soon as he ducks down, the camera rushes through the crowd to where he was, but he's not there anymore. So not only did he just duck in and blend in with all the like red suit jackets and everything, but he actually managed to just fully disappear from in there. And I thought that was a really cool shot, really cool camera trick.
Yeah.
So basically we're saying first section, like the first section with the gospel choir type thing, was all right, but not great.
The second half of the whole show I thought was definitely better, starting with Can't Feel My Face. And then obviously he comes back out in the kind of a similar shaped thing as he was in the intro, except everyone has half the people have violins now.
Yeah, this section was a section, maybe you'll agree, maybe not, where I think this was perhaps the weakest section right there.
Really, I actually don't agree with that. I was really looking forward to them performing Earned It, which is probably one of his most well-known singles from the 50 Shades of Grey movie. The only thing good that probably came out of that.
Yes.
But I was really looking forward to it. I actually thought it was a pretty, I don't know if I want to say chills, but I got genuinely excited when that started happening. Do I think it was like the most effective thing ever? No, but it was better sound mixing, at least, even if the performance wasn't as compelling.
Yeah, that part I thought was good. Like again, the whole thing, I genuinely think it was really good. That was another one of the moments where, especially because it didn't change a whole lot from what we had seen in the first section, it felt just a little bit like more of the same. And I was kind of like, okay, like cool, but let's accelerate this along. I've already seen this bit.
Yeah.
Which was good. I mean, but again, still good.
To the performance aspect of it, yes, I would say we've already seen it. Then there was a song I had no idea that came next.
Yeah, I don't remember either. It was
I guess
good.
we'll just
I remember not disliking it, but
we didn't know it. So it wasn't
but
memorable.
then the moving onto the field, I thought that was some of the best use of the field that
they used the whole
times especially.
Field. They didn't just like, oh, we're just going to use like the middle of the field. They spaced it out along the whole thing because this is the only year you're going to have the entire field to use. So you might as well go big, which like, I think honestly, maybe they could have done a little bit more, but the dancers, I think they had to keep it somewhat simplistic just for COVID reasons, but the dancing was still cool. I Feel It Coming, and then obviously Blinding Lights at the end, both pretty good performances. I think the show got a little bit better as it went on, but like once it ended, it felt like there was, to me, it was kind of lacking something. It's not going to stand the test of time because I didn't really have this wow factor for a lot of it.
Exactly. And I agree 100%. I feel like there was some moments there was a couple moments that gave me a little wow factor, but I mean, even the performances that are regarded as the worst Super Bowl halftimes still gave me a little bit of wow factor. Like if they didn't have that, then I don't think the NFL would approve it, or Pepsi in this case would probably not approve having it done. So it generally, it had some wow factor, but it was lacking in some areas. And especially for me, at least, it just felt like if the whole thing was about 3 or 4 minutes shorter, it would have improved it because they just lingered too long in some areas without doing much.
And really, I think this Super Bowl halftime show, I do got to say one thing. The ending shot was really cool with everyone laid down and him just standing up. That was a fun part of it. But I think this is more of a testament not to The Weeknd as a performer or anything like that. It's more of a testament to how the halftime show has been constructed, what's the perception of it, and like the halftime show is not a concert, it's a performance experience that's very different than what these musicians are normally used to doing. So it's no indictment on the weekend, it's more an indictment on, I feel like the NFL needs to provide some more support in a way. Artists who automatically suffer because they don't do the performance aspect, or rock bands can't move from their instruments, and so it lends itself to pre-recorded people who are performers do better than other acts. Like the Super Bowl is just made for certain people, and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the fact that it's spectacle needs to be leaned into more. And I don't blame the artists. I think they need to work with the artists more on how can we turn your music into a spectacle performance.
Right.
That like, which can be done with almost any music, but how can they do it? And I think that's just something.
And it's hard. I think one of the things they need to do is almost like if bands or people who aren't necessarily like big performance but are great singers, they need to be the musical focus, but other things need to be the entertainment spectacle focus. Like you do a quick shot of like the musicians really quick, they're there, but then like focus on the other people, focus on the spectacle. That's why I actually wanted to make an amendment to to my halftime hopefuls that Gorillaz would be a great band because they're an animated rock band. So you could have the actual musicians doing their own thing and do like they don't really need attention. The main band members are really animated, and they have so many guest artists like Snoop Dogg, Drum, what's De La Soul, even Rag and Bone Man. Yeah.
There we go.
But just where you could animate all that and have like people dress up as the characters all over and doing different choreography while they focus solely on their music.
I don't know if you want to share a rating for it. I feel comfortable. I would say giving it about a 7.5 out of 10 because it certainly wasn't. Thank you for using a different rating scale.
A 6 out of 10, 6 or 6.5 out of 10. But again, like that's like judging it without considering the factors. Like COVID had an impact on the show. So I think if you're going to judge it, just don't be too harsh on it. I think they did what they could do.
Still, like we said, was even for all of our criticisms of it, it still was an engaging, fun show. I enjoyed watching it. It served its purpose. It didn't not serve its purpose, I guess.
And honestly, the psychology of how the halftime show works with the game, if the game was better, we also might look at the halftime show as being better too. I like The Weeknd. I think Sam does too. He's got good music, so don't judge him too harshly for this. But otherwise, this is us signing off for Music Major Moments, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed the video.
If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications whenever we drop a new video.
See you next time on Music Major Meltdown.